Welcome back to the Uncomfortable Silence podcast. This is episode
This is episode 69.
36, but almost. They're prime numbers. What's a prime number?
It's a number that's only divisible by itself in one.
Oh, so I was just blatantly incorrect.
Actually, you might not be. Hold on. Oh, no, 69 is divisible by 3. So,
And
yeah, you're
and
wrong.
3 and 6 and 9 are not. Are also divisible by 3. We're already off topic. We haven't even started.
Yeah, why are we talking about prime numbers right now?
Because the prime is the coach for the Denver Broncos.
No, he's not. He's the coach for the Buffaloes, big dog.
That's
That's
what
the college team.
dang. Yeah.
The coach for the Broncos is not Deion Sanders, bro.
That shows you how much I know about football.
That was bad. Anyone who's still here after that, yeah.
I love sports ball. Sports ball's so fun.
Oh, dude, get the fuck out of here with that millennial ass. Oh, go get a touchdown, and they're watching basketball. Fuck you. Hate that shit.
I was watching college football tonight. I was at the Olive Garden. I was just sitting at the bar eating food. It was actually pretty chill. It was a nice little night. After we went to the gym, because I hit legs already today, and then we hit back just because I was like, let's go max out. And you're like, we're gonna do what I want to do because I said so. And I was like, okay, sounds cool. So I just did every weight you did, but more reps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're still really strong.
Well, thanks. That makes me feel good.
Yeah, I'm putting in the work, but we'll get there.
We're doing different things though, so you're probably stronger in other areas. I'm not sure what those are.
My dick gets harder than yours.
All right, welcome back to the Uncomfortable Silence podcast.
Were you making a mark of what part to cut out?
No, it's gonna stay in. We're
No.
a raw dogging podcast right now. That's what we do. We
Yes,
shock in
sir.
our
That's
podcast.
what I'm saying.
We were supposed to have Jonah on, and we were also supposed to be a bi-weekly podcast, but things just don't work out how we want them to. Jonah's going through a spiritual journey. He can do that. That's okay. Kaden is just busy all the time, but he's on break now, so we're gonna record like 4 podcasts tonight.
Hell no, bro.
And then the next
Dude,
2 months
we're
are
gonna
gonna
get
be
to
great.
the start of the 4th one. It's not even gonna be words anymore.
Made lip syncing the Glib Go Gab Glab on an audio only podcast.
So they can't hear it and they can't see us doing it either.
Exactly, yeah.
True uncomfortable silence because it's just us lip syncing off screen.
You know what I want to do? I want to like incorporate an improv thing like into every episode because that was so much fun.
That was a terrible idea, dude. That shit was ass, bro.
If you guys don't know, that is in the what is the censored version or the unuploaded version of the podcast that probably will never.
Okay, well then how the fuck would they know that?
Because they didn't know.
In case you guys didn't know, there's a video that we haven't dropped yet, and it's in that. That's what we're referencing.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, because they don't know. It's one of those, it's a rhetorical question, Kaden. That's like, whatever that is.
I don't, okay, for sure.
But shizzle my nizzle, you know what I mean? Shit.
Christ.
We could talk about Christ. I'm not really religious.
No, we're not going to talk about Jesus on the pod.
All right, fine.
He is not here, dude. Have you listened to this pod?
Yeah, like our one episode that has like 3 views that we're not going to even touch on in this episode, okay? Right?
Sounding.
Yeah, that one. No, let's talk about like what's actually going on. Like, I'll start because, everybody loves to hear about me. I've been doing not a lot of open mics, just one open mic a week, but it's been a lot of fun, trying out new material, bombing. I say intentionally, but not always intentionally. I recorded a couple of the things, like the audio of it, and a couple times I'm just like saying like a million times. I'm like, because I was just, like, I'm not confident what I'm saying, I guess, at some points. So I just gotta, hit more mics, say what I want to say more and more confidently. That's about it. That's the only cool thing going on in my life. I don't do anything on the weekends that we need to talk about.
Okay.
Okay, fine. We could talk about it. Um, I've been doing D&D. D&D's fun.
Who do you play with?
Just like a small group over in South Glen Library.
Yeah, for sure.
From like noon to like, well, maybe I shouldn't say that. The time and everything.
Yeah, here's the time and place.
Yeah, it's fun though. We have a good time. We were in like one room for like literally 3 hours fighting the same people, but you know, we get through it. Like normally a campaign is what, like 3 months. You know, like that's what some people do. We have like one cavern that we've been in for like 3 months, and I think
God damn.
we haven't like explored the whole thing. It's fun though, like the experiences and like just talking with the people and stuff like that. Because I'm not much of like
Who
a,
designed this campaign that has a cavern that can take that long?
I don't know. It's like a cave thing, and then there's like this one area where like a bull was like what's the word, like it had like an evil spell or something on it, so he got like his brain all transmogrified. I'm just gonna start throwing in words when I don't know what the words are. And we had to get him. We had to take him like back to the keep to get him fixed, like his brain fixed, and then we took him back. But like I guess they didn't fix the whole thing, so he was trying to like defend something. So we were there for a long time. I don't even remember like what happens like week to week because I can't even remember like what happens 10 minutes ago. You know, like my memory's just that bad.
Yeah, you want to tell that story?
Yeah, we can. I feel like you'd tell it better than I would. You want to take a stab at it?
Yeah, so I it's kind of a toss up on a week to week basis where I'm going to be staying. During the school week, I'm going to be at my apartment because it's closest to my campus. But a lot of the time on the weekend, I'll drive out to my parents' house. And the problem with driving out to my parents' house is that my PC is in my apartment, so I can't play games, and I can't really do a whole lot with DeAndre and Jonah,
So
and
games, unlimited games,
but no games.
but no games.
So that when I'm at my house, I can't play any video games. And usually like they'll call me and they'll ask me to play video games, and I'll be like, I'm at my house, and they'll be like, ah, and that's the whole interaction. Yesterday, DeAndre called me and he was like, yo, like, you want to play some fucking video games? And I was like, yeah, I can't. I'm at my house. And he was like, ah, that's too bad. And then we kept talking for a little while about like we actually put together a plan for today to go to the gym, which would specifically involve me being at my house because it wouldn't work if I was at my apartment. And at the conclusion of this conversation, which I will repeat, specifically requires me to be at my house, he goes, so we hopping on? And I was like, DeAndre, how short term is your memory exactly? And he's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, think about it. Think about like, what did you just
I
say?
was
And he's like,
stumped.
can we?
I was so stumped. I
Yeah,
had no idea what
you
he's
could
talking
not
about.
figure out what I was trying to insinuate, and I was like, DeAndre, I'm at my house. And finally we're like, oh shit. Like, oh, and I mean, like, you really didn't know. I mean, I was trying to like give you hints.
It had
You
been
wouldn't
like
have got like if I hadn't said I'm at my house, you never would have figured it out.
5 whole minutes. So you gotta cut me
Yeah, it
some
was rough.
slack. It was like,
It was
and
okay.
it was like not that late at the in the night. You know, it was, fuck you. I don't know what else to say. Uh, I miss Jono.
I miss Jonah too. He's going through it. He'll be okay though.
I've been wanting those burritos again. Those breakfast burritos from
Mm-mm-mm.
what is it? What is the place called again?
Tamale Kitchen number
Tom
9.
4.
I thought it was 9.
I I was just correcting you because I felt like it. I have no idea.
It might actually be 4, and I was just trying to send you to some random ass tamale kitchen somewhere in Denver.
It was
I
so
don't know.
good though. Like we waited for a long time, but I was like, golly, goodness
Yeah, it's delicious.
gracious. My
Delicious.
taste buds are titillated. You know what I mean? I was It's fun like doing comedy though, because like I'm writing bits and stuff all the time.
Where did that was the most unnatural
Well,
transition.
it's because you didn't let me finish. You just like cutting people off. You're like a Asian stereotype.
Okay, whoa.
I just said a stereotype. I didn't say anything like bad. I was just no. But like I was saying,
I don't. I feel like saying like identifying that as a stereotype doesn't make it less of a stereotype.
it.
Like is what I would say is if I was racist.
Okay, let's move on from this.
It's a cop out, bro. Make a racist joke or don't. You can't be like, and that's what I would have said if I had prejudice against Asian Americans.
Hey, isn't there like a thing that stop Asian hate or something like that? Come on, kid. I gotta remind you
Yeah,
of that. Jeez
whatever, bro.
Louise. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, me writing bits and stuff. Because I'm just like thinking about ideas all the time. Most of them are not good, but like I'm an overthinker, which kind of helps with like comedy, or whatever. Because then I could just kind of like dive into a hole, and normally spiraling is bad for me, but I can just spiral in on like, oh, food makes me horny, and then I can just like make bits off of that.
What?
What? There was something I was editing, and I said something just completely out of pocket, and you and Jonah at the same time were like, "What?" I wish I could remember
Yeah,
what it was off the top of my head, but it was "What you know about you and I?" No, something like that. I don't know.
yeah.
It was a good song. We should like go to In and Out more often
We should.
when certain people are working. Go stop by, say hi. Man, I feel like I had so much I wanted to talk about.
I mean, I can just get into my like 30-minute story right now.
That sounds like a good idea.
Okay, so
Don't care. No, I'm kidding.
this
I'm kidding.
I haven't even started yet, dude.
Okay.
So this semester I've been doing a lot more socially. Like I'm still really locked in from an academic standpoint, but I couldn't help myself but to make a couple of friends, which is kind of annoying because knowing people kind of gets you into some weird situations sometimes. So my new roommates were trying to throw this party at our apartment, and I didn't really want any involvement in it because it just did not sound like my scene at all. It was going to be like 30 strangers in my space, and I wouldn't be able to leave if I wasn't having a good time because my bed is like 10 feet away. So I was not like super involved in the process, but they met this dude on campus named Peter,
Hey,
and
Peter.
he's Hey Peter. And he's like a huge party planner kind of guy. Like all he does is fucking get people to throw parties and then he puts himself on as a co-host. And I did not like this guy right out of the gate. Like the first time we ever met, he was in my apartment, talking to my roommates about the party, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm not going to be there." And he happened to see my space because my door was open, and I've got a really nice like stereo sound system. I collect vinyl, like I take my music pretty seriously. And he saw my speakers and he was like, "Yo, man, like you should bring those out for the party." And I was like, "No."
Yeah.
Because I don't like I am a very assertive person. I don't mince words. I wasn't about to be like, oh, like I don't know, man. Like maybe if I was gonna be here, but I'm not. Like I just straight up said no. I'm not doing that. Even if I was here, I wouldn't do that. And he kept like bugging me about it. It was like for 5 minutes, he was like antagonizing me and just being like, yo, like, but you should like, we'll be super careful with them. You'll like, you got to bring them out. I'm like, dude, fucking no. Like, there is no conceivable reality where I would bring my speakers out here and let 50 people put beer on them.
Yeah.
Like, you're insane. It's not going to happen. And my roommates actually had to also step in and be like, dude, like he said no. And what I found out was that apparently the next day he was still talking to my roommates and like talking shit about me to my roommates behind my back and being like, man, you guys should try to convince him to bring him out. And my roommates were like, no, dude, like he obviously doesn't want to. Like, why are you being so pushy about this? We can get another speaker.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus. So like I said,
It's
I
just the
already really didn't
entitlement.
like this guy.
Sorry.
And then the party comes and goes, and it didn't go super well. Like the first one didn't. It got shut down by like 10:30.
By
So
just like
that's not. To
Staff or
the
something?
yeah, apartment security. My apartment is not affiliated with my school, but they do have their own security, and they shut it down. Um, and I kind of thought that it was going to be it. Like I was kind of resigned to like every now and then Peter is going to be over, and I'll have to like deal with it, I guess. But because my roommates seem to like him for some reason. But that's as far as it's going to go with me. And every time this dude sees me on campus, he like walks up. He's like, Kaden, like like, and like he like forces a conversation on me for like 20 minutes. I'm like, dude, man, I don't want to talk to you, but whatever. And I was just kind of resigned to like, oh, it's okay. Like, he's just like a really aggressive personality, right? Like he's just like very out there and like he outgoing and he talks a lot and like that's fine. And then like a week after the party, one of my roommates comes back and he's like, guys, we got a problem. One of the girls at the party was like in the bathroom, and she was like doing her makeup or she was on the phone or something, and Peter walked in there and closed the door and spent like 20 minutes trying to persuade her. And I'm like, yeah, that kind of tracks. um but like shit, like he locked himself in the room with this girl and he's like trying to persuade her to sleep with him super aggressively for 20 minutes. Like that's super creepy and
Yeah.
comfortable. So we're all kind of like, okay, this is obviously a dude that we have to keep at arm's length, right? Like, this is not a guy we want around here. This is not a guy we want co-hosting our parties, because it seems like he might have some wrong like approaches to the way that he talks to women. But right, like as we were deciding this, my roommate already had plans with Peter that night. And he's like, I mean, I don't really want to like just cancel on him because he might figure out something's going on. So he invited me to go with him. And I was like, yeah, I can use this to gauge the situation and just see what's going on. Like, fine, I'll go. Um, so, Peter comes over and like we're going, it was National Hamburger Day. So we were like going to different like Wendy's and McDonald's and all that to get like the $1 hamburger deals that they were doing. And I actually got kind of lucky with the timing because it was also Thursday night, which meant that there was football on, and one of the teams that was playing was the Cleveland Browns. And the starting quarterback for the Browns is Deshaun Watson. Uh, for those of you who don't know, Deshaun Watson has some sort of preposterous amount, like 71 rape allegations or something, like a ridiculous amount. Um, and I brought up the game. I was like, yeah, I'm rooting for the Steelers tonight just because I really hate Deshaun Watson. And Peter goes, why? And I'm like, because he has like 71 allegations or something like that. And Peter goes, I don't know, man. Like people will say crazy stuff for money. Like people will lie about stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, probably not 71 in
Yeah,
different states though. And he's like, I don't know, man. Like, are we sure that he did it? And I'm like, yeah, kind of. And
you're like,
uh,
yes.
pretty much, yeah. And then Peter goes, I don't know, man. Like I would consider myself like a men's rights advocate because like I just know how easy it is to get swindled by stuff like this. And I'm like, okay, first of all,
He knows.
men's rights advocate, we have those.
Yeah, we don't need more.
We have most of them
we
actually.
we won.
Yeah, we won a long time ago, bro. But also like, what do you mean you know how easy it is to get swindled? So now I'm like, okay, this dude definitely has like an outstanding allegation. Um Somewhere, because I also know that this is like his third school. Like I know he started at Missouri and then he went to Colorado State and now he's, at my school.
Smart to
And
say where you go.
and so, I'm like, okay, this dude's definitely a creep. And then as the night goes on, he gets this Snapchat from this girl. And I remember exactly what it said. It's like a photo of the girl, and she captioned it, "Hey, if you're throwing any more parties in the future, I might be down to go, but I'm not interested in going on a date with you." And my first thought was that it can actually be dangerous for a girl to be that direct in rejection. So like, to get a girl to that point, you have to have been like not picking up hints for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
to the point where she finally is like, okay, fuck it. Like, I'm not interested. Just hard, full stop. I'm not interested. Like, you actually kind of have to put in effort to get a woman to that point in terms of like missing signals. And he immediately looks to me because I guess I'm the resident womanizer in the room or something. Like, I don't really know what I don't know what his thought process was, but he's like,
Have you
all
looked
right,
in the
how do I
mirror?
solve it? He immediately goes, all right, how do I salvage this? And I'm like, salvage it? It's over, dude.
It's
Like,
all about
it
the
looks like it's
chase.
been over. It looks like it was never like not over. It was over for a while, dude. Like, what do you mean salvage it? And he goes, I don't know, man. As a business major, I've just got
Oh
this
my
like
god.
mentality that, yeah, of course, right? I've just got this mentality that like I can always get what I want, and like sometimes I got to put in a little bit of extra work, but like I can always get what I want in the end. And I'm like, dude, you're
Yeah,
like,
that's you can't. That's what the fuck. Like I don't know.
what is your problem? But like I just thought he was like kind of a creep, or kind of. I just thought he was a creep, but like nothing too bad. Um, and then I started noticing. So this was like for the over the next couple weeks, I started noticing that every single time that I like turned a corner on my campus, there was like a 50-50 chance that he would be there and he would be talking to like two or three of the most beautiful women I've ever seen in my life. And it was like different women every single time. And every time I saw him, he was like talking to a new, like duo. And I'm like, this is like kind of weird. Like, what's going on here? And then one of my friends, who shall remain nameless, kind of like talked to me. She was talking to me one day and she was like, yeah, like my friends and I were all getting coffee, and like this weird dude like came up to us and just started going in on my friend, like just hitting on her like crazy. And then she said, oh, I've got a boyfriend. And he was like, oh, that's okay, we can just be friends until you're single. And we were all like, what the fuck? And then he was like, and this was like mid-October, he was like, damn, like girl, you're so sexy, like for Halloween you should go as a Victoria's Secret model. And let's take a moment to acknowledge the generational game that was just spit, like just absolute fire. It's amazing her pants were still on after that, quite frankly. Like what
Honestly,
a
like
woman.
should have
What a
turned into a
beautiful
garden
woman.
hose at that point. Oh my god.
Yeah, yeah, on the soaker setting. Um anyway, so I'm like, all right, god damn it. So now he's gone and he's screwed up and he's like being super weird and harassing my friends. So now I got to do something about this, right? Like I can't let him do that. I was kind of just letting him do his thing, which was stupid of me, but like now I really got to step in. And I figured I would bring some data with me so that like I could, cuz usually when you tell a dude like this that his efforts are not appreciated, he's just going to be like, "Oh yeah, like I think people like it." And so you got to bring evidence. So I
I just gotta work
surveyed.
harder. That's what he thinks.
Yeah, I surveyed women on my campus. I randomly walked up to 40 women.
Oh my
Out
god.
of 40, how many I'll give you a guess, DeAndre. How many of them do you think said they were creeped out by Peter? Not hit on, because that was a given. Out of 40 women who I talked to, period, how many do you think actively said they were creeped out by Peter?
I want to say like 9 out of 10 dentists. So like
Make
39
a
out of
guess.
40.
Exactly.
Really?
39 out of 40. And you know what's the real crazy part? The only one who said no was the only black girl I asked.
Oh yeah, because she's probably dealt with some crazy shit.
Every other woman I asked was white and blonde, and all of them said yes.
Is there not very many black people at your school?
No, it's like majority minority. It's a inner city school. There's a ton of black people there.
Is that what? Oh, is that what
I
that
just
means? I didn't know
I stopped surveying them because it was obvious
that.
that he was not their type,
Yeah, you're like I
or
stopped
they were
surveying
not his type. Sorry.
because there was
Uh,
only one answer.
yeah. Anyway, so I and then like while I'm doing this, I met a couple of other people who had the same sentiment, like a couple of other guys, and like one of them was like, yeah, he like coerced my roommates into throwing this party and letting him co-host, and he was like a creep at the party, and I'm like, dude, are you me? Like, We had the same experience with this guy. So it's like now I'm putting together this pattern in my head that like what this guy does is he gets these parties going and then he just goes fucking berserk and just invites every single woman in the world to these parties and he uses them as a platform to like prey on them. Like he's a fucking disgusting human being. So I'm ready to confront him. Um,
Hmm.
and one of my friends gets a little bit concerned about Peter's mental health from this whole situation because he's not like, his thought process is like, what if nobody has ever told him that he's like creeping people out? And what if we do this and he like kills himself? Uh, and in my mind, I'm like, I don't care. But like I appreciate how empathetic this dude is. So I'm like,
I
but
saw
he's like,
just real quick. I saw a bumper sticker, not a bumper sticker, like like a white truck, and on the back window they have those stickers, and like on the back of it said "Kill your local pedophile," and I was like reading it slowly, and I have like a hard time reading sometimes, so I was like, I read the "Kill your," I was like, oh my god, that's so vile, and then it's like pedophile, local pedophile. I was like, oh no, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, that's fine.
yeah, yeah,
I
you should do that.
was like, yeah, no,
Anyway,
yeah, I like that.
oh yeah, quick other Peter story. Apparently, at one point he was inviting people to our party with my roommates, and he walked up to this group of girls and he was like, "Hey, ladies," and then the guy who was accompanying them was like, "They're all in high school. They're shadowing. Like, fuck off." And then he like walked away with like his tail between his legs, and my roommates were like, "Did you really not like? They're obviously in high school. Like, what are you doing?" So I'm sure he would if he could, but whatever. Anyway, so
BoJack
this guy
Horseman. We can talk about
this
that
guy's
later.
worried. This guy's worried that Peter is going to kill himself. So he's like, I want to be there when you confront him. We can do like a good cop, bad cop kind of thing where like, he has like resources and all this. And then the longer that we wait, because I had kind of come to this like conclusion that the next time I saw him, Peter, I mean, on campus, it was going to be like, okay, we're doing this. And all of a sudden, this guy is nowhere to be found. He dropped off the face of the earth. And I'm like, wow, someone must have tipped him off because where did he go? Like, I swear to God, 2 days ago, every single time I turned a corner, there was like a 50% chance that he would be there.
Hmm.
So where did he go? Um, and I find out that the guy that I was working with, I I still respect the way that he was thinking about Peter's mental health, but what happened next really got on my nerves. He reached out to Peter because he was worried that I was going to be like too harsh. So he reached out to Peter independently and was like, "Yo, let's get some coffee." And then he went with Peter and got this coffee, and he was like trying to tell him that women really didn't appreciate it. And Peter just apparently spent like an hour and a half just being like, "Nah, man, like they're all liars. Like, like you can't trust them." And like my tactics are successful. You have no idea. Like I pull mad. And it's like, okay, dude, like obviously not. But he called like my friend calls me after the whole encounter and he's like, "Yeah, like fuck this guy, dude. He's never gonna change." And I'm like, dude, I know. Like the whole reason that I was doing my strategy the way that I was doing it is because guys like this just don't respond unless there is an underlying like threat as well. You can't just go in there and be like, "Hey, like some people might not appreciate this." You have to go in there and be like, "Hey, some people don't appreciate this. Also, you need to stop or you're going to get hurt." Like you have to do that because if you don't, you're running the risk that exactly what happened next is going to happen.
Hmm.
So now I'm trying to find him still, and like I just cannot find this dude anywhere on campus. My roommate goes to a party and apparently Peter was there and he like walked up to my roommate and he's like, "Yo, like I heard you and your roommates are spreading shit about me." And my roommate said, "Well, my roommate like starts confronting him and he's like, "Well, the way that you talk to these women is really not appreciated." And Peter goes like, "Nah, man, like that's all hearsay, like they're all liars." And then he sucker punched my roommate in the stomach. Just straight up. And
What?
like out of nowhere he punched him in the stomach. And it
Just
was pretty
assault.
funny because yeah, my room well the funny part is my roommate couldn't press charges because the punch was so weak that it didn't cause any damages. And in order for you to have a legal case, you need to be able to prove damages, and the punch was just too weak. Like there wasn't even a bruise.
Wait, how big is Peter?
He's like 4'9" or something.
Wait, what?
He's
Wait.
not actually. He's like
Okay.
five. I think he's like 5'5", 5'6". He's definitely vertically challenged.
Like about my height, you think, or shorter?
No, way shorter than you. You're like 5'10",
Why
dude.
am I imagining like someone that
Imagine.
looks like someone that like looks like you, but like shorter hair or something like that, or like blonde hair or
I
something? That was
I really don't know. Here, I'll send you a picture. Don't put it on screen, but just for your sake, like here's someone you can visualize.
he's the
He
picture for the promotional thing of this
yeah,
episode.
he's the guy. He's the guy on the right side of the photo.
Okay.
Um, so you know, now I'm hearing about this, and I'm like, okay, he punched my roommate. Like now I gotta find him. And finally I do. And I run into him at the library and I'm like, hey, Peter, like we're talking. And he's like, nah, Kaden, like I don't want to talk to you. And he's like actively walking away from me. And I'm like, well, I heard you punch my roommate, so we're going to talk. Like, I don't, what, what do you think is going to happen right now? I'm just going to let you leave. And he's like, no, Kaden, I don't want to talk to you. And he's like making these arguments about why he punched my roommate. And I'm like, okay, as mad as I am about that, that's not really why I'm here. I want to talk to you about the same thing my roommate talked to you about, with the girls. And Peter goes, "Nah, man, like it's all hearsay. Like they're all lying." And he's like, at this point, he like changed directions and started walking in the other way, like again. And I'm like chasing this dude down in the library, and I'm talking at a normal volume, which in the library is like yelling,
Hmm.
like talking at a normal volume, everyone can hear what's going on. And I'm like chasing him down and I'm like, you want to hear, like, it's not hearsay. You want to hear exactly how not hearsay it is? I asked 40 women about this and 39 of them said they were creeped out by you. And he like turns to me for a second. He's like, oh yeah, okay, what did I say? Like, give me specifics. And I'm like, really? You want specifics? And he's like, yeah. And he gives me like this smile of like, I'll bet you can't think of any. And I'm like, really? Because I can. Uh, like, you told a girl that for Halloween she should go as a Victoria's Secret model, and did his smile fucking dropped, bro? It was so funny to watch him just be like, "Oh shit, he does have examples," and then he was like, "Nah, man, I don't remember saying that," and I'm like, "Okay, you did." And he's like, nah, man. And then I'm like, also, I have witnesses of you at like he says something like, nah, man, like all I do is like promote these girls going to these parties and like I invite them and that's all I do. And I'm like, oh, let's talk about the parties. Because I have witnesses at one of the parties that said they saw you pulling a girl's skirt up, like without her like consenting or knowing about it. And he's like, okay, nah, man, that didn't. And you can like see in his eyes that he remembers, but he's like, nah, that didn't happen. And I'm like, yes, it did, dude. Like, why are you sitting here and denying this shit to my face? Like, Jesus. And then he changed directions again. So like he has walked back and forth down this same stretch of hallway like 4 times. He's like, because he's like trying to run away from me. Um, and I'm like chasing him still, and he's like, Caden, like this is your final warning, like you better get out of my personal space. And I'm like, ooh, because he's
Yeah.
ridiculously short, and I've worked out with him. However weak you would expect him to be, it's worse. A dude that short who looks big, because he kind of does look big, should not be doing like 80 pounds on the lat pull downs. That's pathetic. I mean, I was literally doubling his weight on like all of the exercises. And I was doing like 200% of every rep that he was doing because my arms are that much longer. Like it was sad. Um, but so like anyway, I'm not worried about this dude. But like so he's like, this is your final warning, like you better get out of my face. And I'm like, actually, Peter, this is your final warning. If I find out that any of this ever happens again, like we're gonna have a real problem. And he's like, oh yeah, like come into my space and see how that goes for you. And I'm like, dude, is that an actual invitation? Like, come on. At this point, I am just begging him to throw the first punch. Because if he throws the first punch, I can just lay him out. So I'm just praying
Yeah,
that
I've boxed you before. It's not fun.
yeah, I'm just praying that he walks up and like throws a punch at me so I can just deck this guy. But he doesn't, and he like finally I'm like, I'm done, like I'm tired of running around after this guy. Like he can go. I think he gets the message. The next day, so actually that night, I was talking to one of my other friends who's like also been working on this with me, and he's like, "Yeah, we've got an actual allegation. Like, there's a girl who says that he actually forced himself on her, like physically." And I'm like, "Well, all right, there it is." Like as if there was any doubt. Like, sure enough, he did that. Um, but the girl is not willing to come forward, so there's nothing admin can do about it. But now I'm finding out, like, okay, now there's like 20 guys on campus who actually want this dude to die because apparently he roofied a girl
What the
who,
fuck?
like, yeah, apparently he roofied a girl who, like, these guys knew. So all of them are like, like, we ride at dawn, like, we got to get this guy. Um, and I'm hearing about this and I'm like, damn, he's really gonna get his ass kicked by
like
these guys.
you're like bummer.
Yeah, like, oh no, like I wouldn't have stopped him if I could, but they didn't do it. They haven't done it yet. They will probably. But the next day I'm sitting in class and I get a text from the same guy, and it just says, "Watch out, he's coming." And I'm like, hey bud, you want to elaborate on that, please? And he's like, so Peter still thinks that he and this guy are friends, and he was like on the phone with him the night before, and they were talking about what happened with me in the library, and Peter goes, yeah, that kid's just trying to spread some rumors, like my friends and I are going to take care of him tomorrow. And I'm like, oh my god, I am going to get jumped on my way home. like I'm going to be walking home and a bunch of dudes are going to like jump out of the bushes and beat me up. Like, that's what's going to happen. So I wound up getting a police escort off campus. I just called campus security and I was like, I got a situation. Like, I need you guys to meet me at the door and give me a ride. And they did. And then as soon as I got to my apartment, I got out of there. Like, I didn't even go up to my room. I got to my apartment and I went straight down into the garage, got in my car, and just drove off and went back to my parents' house because I'm not like again, I am absolutely 100% confident that if Peter and I got into a fight, there's only one outcome. Like, he is losing that fight. But I have no idea who his friends are. I have no idea how many of them there are, and I have no idea, like, they could have guns, you know?
Yeah.
Like, if I start swinging back, I could get shot. And I know he has friends who have guns. Like, I knew that for a fact. So I'm like, okay, I just got to get out of here. So I did, and now like I have the next week. So this story doesn't really have an ending yet. I have the next week to sort this out and figure out exactly what I'm going to do before the next time I step foot on that campus. Because as far as I know, the next time he and his friends are together and they see me, I'm going to have to physically fend them off.
Hmm.
So that's where it ends for now.
It's a fun story. I like that story. See, you and Jonah are
Yeah,
just so good at telling stories.
this guy is the leading pathetic coward on campus. I cannot imagine anybody who is a sadder human being than this. Preying solely on mostly defenseless women who are already drunk at his parties, and
He's a business
just
major, though. He knows what he
yeah,
wants.
and
He,
just scared as hell to fight me. I mean, again, as like when I was confronting this guy, like he's talking big, but he is literally physically running away from me in the library the whole time. And I'm like, do you really think that I'm about to swing on you first in the library in front of like 30 cameras and 200 people? Obviously I'm not going to do that. Like I thought about, I was so close to just being like, do you have any idea how lucky you are that it's me talking to you right now? There are people who are coming for you who are much less inclined to listen than I am. Like, you have no idea how lucky you are to be in a situation where you can actually have a conversation with me about this, and you are wasting it. And I'm not going to stop the next people who walk through that door. Like,
Yeah.
it's not going to be me.
He just sounds like a bad person, like a bad guy.
Yeah.
He sounds like a villain. Like
He kind of is.
that's as
I don't,
close to a real life villain as you can get. Like in this.
I mean, I almost don't want to give him that much credit because, like, he doesn't have any plans. He's just a coward, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't even want to give him the credit of being like, yeah, like, this guy's the villain on campus. Like, he's just a fucking loser.
And like everybody knows him now. That's the funniest part.
Yeah, I'm really close to just putting the screenshots that I have on the Snapchat story. I don't know. I'm like doing some research on defamation law and just trying to figure out if I'm like liable if I post those.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then as soon as I figure out whether I can do it legally or not, you know, if I can, I will.
And you say you can't give him to like your admin or anything, or if they can even do anything.
Uh, I mean, they really can't because none of the women are willing to come forward.
Oh
So
yeah.
like it would kind of just be, them doing like some sort of intervention with him, like, hey, we heard there might be a situation, and it's like that's just gonna
Piss him
like
off.
that, yeah, that's just gonna piss him off. Like, what would that do, So,
Well, this is a
uh,
story in progress. We'll make sure to keep you guys updated tri-weekly because that's what we promised. It's a tri-weekly podcast.
yes, that is exactly what we promised, and no more than that.
Don't go back and check the other pod because I did not say bi-weekly. That's a lie.
I don't think you have to worry about people listening to this one, let alone like going back to the last one as well.
That's probably true. But the last Fortnite video has like 100 views now, so I'm like, what the heck happened? It's weird. Like some videos just do better than others. And I'm like, okay, all right.
That is kind of like, why that one too? Like,
I don't know.
that video was so normal.
There's 5 Fortnite videos that says we love Fortnite, and then it says like 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, and they all have the exact same thumbnail, but that one's like doing good. So I don't
We
know.
didn't do anything differently in that video.
I'll watch the video. I'll see what we did differently, and then we'll just do that again. There's another one I got coming out. I have to edit and stuff, but what we got coming out soon is nice. We've been going for like 45 minutes. You want to call that good? That's a good pod. Or good, I think it's a good pod.
Yeah, I mean, I got to tell my story. Unfortunately, there's no Jonah today, so.
So I was gonna hold off on the BoJack stuff, the BoJack Horseman stuff.
Yeah, that's a good call. We should save that for when he's here. You can finish season 3, right?
I'm like on season 3 right now. I think
You can finish it by the next time that we're all able to pod.
probably, unless Jonah gets on right now, then.
I'm not doing another one after this.
Well, it looks like Jonah might be playing Fortnite right now, so let's just hop on the game. Oh fuck! Never mind.
Actually?
Yeah, it says he's on. It says on. What?
That'd be really funny if he was like, "Sorry guys, like I'm just not in a state of mind to pod right now," and then he just hopped on Fortnite.
Well, the Discord thing says he's playing Fortnite, so. But I don't know. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is episode 36 of the Uncomfortable Silence podcast. Probably, just not even sure. What do we want to title this one? Well, let's figure it out on the pod. School drama.
The nice little inside look.
Hey, Peter.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the title for sure.
All right.
That's a real.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I will edit this later. I love you guys. Peace.
Peace.